What's the pettiest way a lawsuit backfired right into someone's wallet? When I was a kid, my family lived in a house halfway up a steep hill. It was a beautiful place with an incredible view, rolling hills, sunsets, the whole picture postcard scene. But the hill came with one big problem: sewage. Because of the slope, the city had to get creative. They built a single shared sewer line that ran through everyone's backyard. All the home's waste lines connected into it, and everything flowed downhill to the city system at the bottom. It was weird, but it worked. Our house sat at the highest possible point on that shared line, the very last home the city could connect, before the elevation got too steep. The land above us was unstable and marked as unfit for construction, or so we thought. A few years after we moved in, someone bought a plot just over the crest of the hill and decided to build anyway. They weren't part of the HOA, they didn't get approval, and somehow they managed to connect their plumbing into the same shared line. From that moment on, they became our problem. Their house sat just low enough that their sewage didn't flow properly. Every few months, their basement bathroom flooded, and somehow that was always our fault. They'd march down the hill yelling about diverted effluent and illegal hookups, as if we had a control valve that let us send our waste straight into their shower. The truth was simple. Their house was slowly sliding downhill. The soil up there wasn't stable. Every few years, it shifted a few inches, and with each slide, their sewer connection dropped lower. That made the slope shallower and the backups worse. By the end, their plumbing barely worked. They finally called a plumber, who told them the only fix was to redo their part of the shared line entirely. But the problem was access. To reach their section, they'd have to bring a backhoe through our yard. That meant tearing down our 2-story masonry wall, ripping out the wrought iron fence, and destroying the backyard my parents had spent 20 years perfecting. Naturally, my dad said no. Hire some workers, dig it by hand, do whatever you need, but you're not bringing heavy machinery across our property. A few weeks later, we got a thick envelope in the mail. Their lawyer had sent us a letter quoting some obscure state law about implied easements. It claimed they had the legal right to access our land for the purpose of maintaining utilities connected to their home. The whole letter was written in that smug legal language, pursuant to paragraph this, in accordance with statute that. Basically, they were threatening to sue us if we didn't agree. So we got our own lawyer. After looking over the documents, he told my parents we could fight it and probably win, but it would be expensive. Or we could let them go ahead, keep detailed records, and bill them afterward. Then he pointed to one particular line in the law they'd quoted. It said that whoever used an easement was fully responsible for any damage caused while doing so. My dad smiled and said, "Let them dig." A few weeks later, the rumble of machinery echoed down the street. A massive yellow backhoe crawled up our driveway and started tearing through the wall. It was loud, messy, and chaotic. They dug for days, breaking concrete, tossing debris, and leaving deep tread marks across the yard. When they finally packed up, their sewer worked again, but our property looked like a demolition site. That's when our lawyer sent them a detailed invoice. It covered everything: rebuilding the masonry wall from scratch, replacing the wrought iron fence, resodding the yard, replanting all the ornamental trees and shrubs, installing new stairs to the terrace, and fixing the damage they'd done to our section of the sewer. The total came to $75,000. They lost it, claimed we were scamming them, said no one in their right mind would pay that. But my dad calmly handed their lawyer a copy of their own letter. Right below the paragraph they'd quoted was another clause, the one that made them liable for every bit of the damage they caused. They still refused to pay, so my parents filed a lien against their property. Years went by. We hardly thought about it, until one day, they tried to sell their house. Their buyer's mortgage company refused to approve the sale until the lien was cleared. They had no choice but to pay every cent, plus interest. Their house sold for way less than they'd hoped, but by then, it didn't matter to us. We had a brand new wall, a freshly landscaped yard, and a great story my dad still tells every time someone mentions easements. They wanted access to fix their sewer line. We gave them access, and a $75,000 reminder that fine print works both ways.